Shocking allegations here of what authorities are calling a calculated seduction. Prosecutors say a math teacher in suburban Pennsylvania, married, mother of three, preyed on two teenage boys. Here's a picture. Heather Zio, well, actually it's video of her, 36-year-old accused of having sex with one of her 17-year-old students in the family minivan in a parking lot. The boy claims they kissed and fondled each other in her classroom, before school, during second, fourth period. Another 17-year-old student says she chatted him up about sex on Facebook and claims she told him to delete evidence. We'll take your calls if you want in on this one, 1-877-TEL-HLN. Joining us to talk about it, her attorney, Mark Neff, again defending Heather Zio. Also with us, Fred Tesey, criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor. Also with us, Cooper Lawrence, psychologist and author of the book, The Cult of Celebrity. All right, Mark, first off, is your client admitting she had sex with one of her students?
Mike, she hasn't admitted anything yet. What we're waiting for is the government to present their case. That started yesterday with a preliminary hearing.
Okay, so what's your defense here? Where are you going as you question the victim here, and how are you laying out your side of the case?
Well, yesterday a lot of interesting facts came out. Number one, we found out that one of the victims had initially proposed to Heather what he had seen in a dream. That is, a dream about having sex with her. We further learned that he's been telling others and the public through his Facebook account that he was actually over 18 years of age and posted a date of birth of 1989 for the public to see on his Facebook page.
Okay. But even so, I mean, we've done stories and seen the stories where some man has sex with what he thought was a 20-year-old. She's 16. It sounds like a flimsy defense to me. And he's quoted as saying, she did know my age. She said, once I turned 18, everything would be okay. I'd be a legal adult. So it sounds like she knew.
That's not exactly what he said. In the testimony, I asked him carefully about whether or not he ever mentioned his age to her. And he denied that. He said, no, I didn't tell her how old I was. I didn't tell her I was 17. And the only evidence we know that he set forth his age was on his Facebook page. And that would make him 19 years of age.
Okay. Still, though, I mean, she's a teacher. She should know before she gets involved with a student whether or not. I just don't think ignorance is going to play well for you here.
Well, she's not charged with anything other than corrupting the morals of a minor and endangering the welfare. So a critical item in the government's proof has to be that she knew that he was a minor, because having sex with a 19-year-old, whether it's your student or not, is not a crime.
Okay. Fred Tesey, help me out here. Again, I'm seeing this as a flimsy defense because, like I mentioned before, the example of a guy who says, oh, I thought she was 20 and she turns out to be 16. It sounds like that's what this is here.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, Mike, and you are seeing it as a flimsy defense. I know Mark Neff. He's a great lawyer. I've sent stuff to him. He'll do a good job with what he has to work with. But in this case, no. This lady was a teacher. She knew how old the student was. I mean, he can say what he wants, but in the eyes of the law, a 17-year-old is not in a position to make a decision as to whether or not he's going to hook up in the parking lot of the local Target in the back of this lady's minivan.
Well, 17-year-olds, Fred, as you well know, make that decision every day.
Well, hey, look, Mark, it wasn't that long that I was a 17-year-old, maybe it was, and my hormones were racing. But in the eyes of the law, I wasn't in a position. And as a teacher,
yes, she's
not in a position, and she should know better, even if she knew or thought that he was 17. I understand what you're talking about as far as to get him convicted, but she was in a position of authority and took advantage of it.
She's not charged with being a bad teacher. She's charged with corrupting the morals of a minor. In order to prove that, they've got to prove that she knew that he was a minor and that she did something that corrupted his morals. If we listen to him, he was the one that proposed having sex with her. He was the one that had the dream. He was the one that wanted to go to bed with her.
And she's the teacher and the authority figure who should have said no. And that's what we expect from our teachers.
Exactly.
What a betrayal of trust this is.
She's not on trial for being a bad teacher.
No, of course she's not on trial for being a bad teacher. She's on trial for having sex with a 17-year-old,
exactly,
which is exactly what she did.
Isn't there a responsibility here, Mark? That she's a teacher. You don't prey on our kids. I mean, the quote is, and it's right, a calculated seduction. She's inviting him in as friends on Facebook.
The quote is from the prosecutor. Okay, we don't view this as a calculated seduction. We view this as a 17-year-old with raging hormones who posed as a 19-year-old to get in the pants of his teacher.
Well,
but
she's the teacher who invited the students as a friend on Facebook. She made the initial contact, and so what if some 17-year-old or even 18-year-old student is proposing sex to her? It's her job as a teacher to say no.